Hey everyone, it's Trevor with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at and installing the CURT custom wiring adapter for trailer brake controllers on our 2015 Chevrolet Suburban, and we're also going to be installing that with the CURT TriFlex NEXT brake controller. Now if you're wondering what a brake controller is or who this may be for, it's going to be for anyone that is towing a trailer and you're just looking for a way to control the stopping power of your trailer, make sure it's nice and smooth, or say if you get some sway, being able to cut that sway out while you're on the road. And like our neighbor today, he's going to be towing some horses around with his Suburban. Now this is what the brake controller is going to look like when it's all mounted up. And the nice thing about the mount portion of this is it's going to come with adhesive and self-tapping screws. So you can either make it permanent or you can make it more to where you can move it around as you would like to. And now, good thing about it is you have these gain settings here. This is just going to allow you the option to control how much power is sent back to your brakes as you step on them. Now your modes will change it from gain to load, and load is going to be how aggressive those brakes are applied. So for example, we have it at 3.5. This is going to control how fast we get to 3.5 gain. And then you have some other modes such as your brightness, so you can turn that down or up depending on how bright it is outside. So you don't want it obviously blinding you at night. And then this just puts it into sleep mode. So if it's darker at night, you won't have to worry about it staying on the entire time while you're towing it. Now you might be wondering, when this is mounted up, is it going to be in my way? Am I going to bump into it? Is it going to impair my driving? Well, here to tell you, I'm a pretty big guy. I have the seat set all the way back and I'm not running into it at all when I'm looking to touch the gas pedal. Even when I try and slouch back a little bit more into the seat, I'm getting nowhere near this. And even when I'm driving, I could be able to operate this pretty easily without having to look down at it from the road. Now I did have two more topics I wanted to cover with you real quick. Since I was in customer service for a few years, I've heard a significant amount of questions asked about these brake controllers, and two have been repeated more than often than not. And the first one's going to be, what am I going to use that manual override for? And simply, you're just going to press on it and that'll activate the trailer brakes, and really you use that mostly for the sway to pull that back in line with your vehicle and for any emergency stops you may have to make. Now another question I heard a lot about was, is this brake controller going to kill my battery? And the answer is no. After 5 minutes it's going to go into sleep mode and limit the draw it pulls off your battery. Now the install on this was fairly simple. The hardest parts of it were trying to find out where it's going to plug into and then routing it to my spot on my dash I wanted it on. But with all that being said, super simple. Just plug it in, plug in the brake controller, mount it up, and you're done. And if that sounds pretty good to you, well, let me go ahead and show you how to get that installed real quick. To begin our installation, we're going to be on our driver's side underneath the dash, specifically behind the emergency brake pedal, and we're going to be pulling off the cover for our junction box. And to remove this junction box, you'll see these little locks that are stamped onto the cover. That's just going to show you where the tabs are located. So we'll have two on the passenger side and one on the driver's side. The one on the driver's side will have this little tab sticking up that you're just going to push outwards. And then on the passenger side of the cover, you'll have two tabs on the side here that you will just pull on to get it over the lock. Once you got that, just push out, and then this cover will come off. Now once we got that cover off, our plug-and-play adapter is going to plug in right here. And this will be the same for the Suburban and the Silverado. Alright, and with that cover off and that spot we found for that plug-and-play adapter, we're just going to go ahead and get that plugged in. Once we have that plugged in, we're going to put the cover back on. And as you can tell on our cover, the top section is going to be completely open. So what you'll do is you'll put the wire inside of here, and then you'll go to push the cover back up and just kind of guide that wire out the top. It is a little tricky because these tabs kind of get hung up on all the wires underneath the dash. But once you get that back up into place, just listen for that click. Once you have that, hear that click, you're good to go. And then we'll route the wire underneath and find a spot for a brake controller. Now from your junction box, I took it and I routed it over a couple supports, including this metal support towards the passenger side of the vehicle. And then from there, I plugged in the brake controller, went up towards the center console, and used the adhesive to stick it onto the center console. It was a little bit harder to use the self-tapping screws because there's a lot of electrical connections I could see, but I couldn't exactly mark out exactly where they were, so I just used the adhesive for now. If you wanted to, you could also make this more permanent by using the self-tappers. If you just use the adhesive, you can make it to where you can pull that off later if you plan on switching vehicles. And if you're switching to a similar style vehicle that has that same plug, you can take the plug and play with it. Or we do have an option for a pigtail that you can get so you can hardwire it to your next vehicle. And that's going to do it for the installation of the CURT custom wiring adapter on our 2015 Chevrolet Suburban. My name's Trevor. Thank you for watching.